either younger than us or, passed and retired. So why not? I want to challenge myself. The best always looking to fight the best and challenge themselves, and why not, challenge.
Terence Crawford can't beat him, right? This is a money grab for Terence Crawford. It's just a situation where Terence Crawford is trying to fill up his bank account opposed to actually his legacy.
But if you study Floyd closely, like I have, you will notice that he never wastes any steps while he's in the ring.
Terence Crawford accepted Floyd Mayweather's fight offer during a live interview with Stephen A. Smith. He said boxing is about testing yourself and taking on big challenges. Crawford explained that the best fighters should face each other, and he's ready to step up once again. Speaking with calm confidence, he made it clear that fighting Mayweather is another chance for him to prove himself and go beyond expectations.
Because this is Terence the businessman talking, right? They got to pay the cheddar to make it better, right?
For sure, for sure. All money ain't good money, so you got to know that.
Okay, fair enough. I hate to use the word easy, but at times it did feel like you were, having a really easy time out there. Were you expecting it to play out that way?
Listen, it's never easy,
Stephen A. Smith, known for being outspoken, praised Terence Crawford for becoming a champion in 4 weight divisions. He said this is not just a small compliment, but a rare achievement in modern boxing, where many fighters avoid moving up because of the risks. Crawford's success in 4 divisions shows his unique skill, adaptability, mental strength, and willingness to face tougher challenges. Stephen A. believes this proves Crawford is one of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters of all time.
Terence Crawford is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance. He had poise in the ring, he wasn't rattled. He backed up and moved when necessary and kept us different. He exchanged enough to gain respect when necessary. It was a brilliant, brilliant, masterful fight on Terence Crawford's part.
Roy Jones Jr., a legend who ruled across divisions, praised Terence Crawford for his brilliance in the ring. He said that in Crawford's fight with Canelo Alvarez, he showed the ability to use strategies from fighters like Floyd Mayweather and Erislandy Lara, who had both given Canelo problems. Jones explained that Crawford's skill comes from studying, learning, and then applying these tactics in his own way. What impressed him most was that Crawford didn't just copy, but adjusted the techniques to fit his own style, making them more effective in real fights. This adaptability, Jones said, is what sets Crawford apart from many fighters who stick to one style and struggle against top opponents.
As Canelo Alvarez has been a great fighter his whole career, people like Erislandy Lara gave you the blueprint on how to beat him. People like Floyd Mayweather also gave you the blueprint on how to beat him. But Bud is more fierce, more fearsome, and more angrier and more meaner than both of those guys. So if they showed you the blueprint, Bud gonna go out there, take that blueprint and do even more with it, which is what Bud did. So it was never a question in my mind whether Bud really was going to outbox me, just if he could take the punch. And right away he showed, bam, he could take the punch. So I knew from that point, if he just slow him down, which he did, he'd be okay. Then late in the fight, what other people still didn't see, late in the fight, Bud started hitting Canelo's body. One of those body shots, I think about the 7th or 8th round, hurt Canelo. I was like, whoa. Bud hit him in the right spot then, and he got Canelo's respect with that too. So Bud fought a very, very awesome fight, fought a beautiful fight, very tactical.
Very controlled.
Yes, it was a beautiful fight for boxing.
It was a beautiful fight. Bud got hit with some shots.
He did. He got
hit with some single shots going out. He's going out and Canelo, if he has you trapped in the corner or along the ropes, it's typically 1 to 2 big shots. You know that if you've watched him.
Yep.
So you could tell Crawford, as he was going out, he knew the one shot was coming, and several times it landed. He even got hit with a 2-piece. I don't remember what round it was, uppercut right hand that Crawford took well. So when you started seeing him absorb the shots, if you're Team Crawford, you don't want him to take that shot. But if you started seeing that, now you know that, okay. And I think that's what gave Crawford the green light to stay there a little bit longer.
He smiled about it.
He smiled about it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that smile can be a lie. And sometimes that smile can mean what I think it meant for Crawford, which is, oh, that's not as bad as I thought it was.
The idea of Terence Crawford fighting Floyd Mayweather, even in an exhibition, has caused a lot of debate. Some critics say it could hurt Crawford's legacy, as it may look like he's chasing money instead of glory. They argue that after big wins over Errol Spence and Canelo Alvarez, he should focus on meaningful fights, not exhibitions like the ones Mayweather has done in recent years. Others, however, believe Crawford's legacy is already safe, and a fight with Mayweather would only add another exciting chapter to his career.
Terence Crawford. It's just a situation where Terence Crawford is trying to fill up his bank account opposed to actually his legacy. This is what was being said, right? This is what people perceived. Terence Crawford was just attempting to cash out.
When fans compare Floyd Mayweather and Terence Crawford, the debate gets complicated. Mayweather's record includes wins over many big names, but critics often point to the timing of those fights. For example, Canelo was still young when he fought Floyd, and Pacquiao was injured during their 2015 match. Mayweather also avoided giving rematches, especially with Pacquiao, which left questions for some fans. On the other hand, Crawford's biggest wins came against opponents at their peak. This leads to constant debate about whether Mayweather's perfect record was purely skill or helped by careful timing and matchmaking.
Floyd Mayweather is still greater than Terence Crawford. We need to really talk about this now. A lot of you guys are putting Crawford a bit too high. If you want to say Crawford could beat Floyd, I'm more open to that conversation, but when you're lining up the careers, I'm going to say Floyd every time. While they're both 5 division, Bud has become 3-time undisputed, but he's only fought 10 world champions to Floyd's 25 world champions. You can't take away the 5 division, 3-time undisputed. In terms of accolades, yeah, he probably gets the nod over Floyd. I say their accolades are about relative, considering Floyd Mayweather won Fighter of the Decade as well. But when you get to the resumes, Pacquiao, Oscar, Canelo, Cotto, Mosley, Castillo, Marquez, Zab, Gotti, Hatton, and Corley. It's probably way more people that this guy just didn't name. And then when you get to Bud's resume, not saying it's just bad, but the only names that's really worth mentioning is going to be Spence and Canelo. It's not a knock on Bud. Bud was not able to make those fights early on in his career. But I got to tell you guys what it is. Bud's resume just doesn't line up with Floyd's. Take their top 20 wins. Bud don't even got 20 wins to really sit here and name. Floyd got a good 20-something plus. Bud probably got about 10 wins that we could really sit here and name. Floyd's still greater than Bud in my opinion.
Tony Jeff, a well-known boxing analyst, said that Floyd Mayweather's biggest strength wasn't just his defense or speed, but his mindset. He explained that Floyd's unshakable belief in himself made him so dangerous. Even in close fights, Mayweather's confidence and high boxing IQ gave him an advantage. His skill to read opponents, adjust quickly, and stay calm under pressure set him apart from fighters who depended only on physical ability. Jeff added that this mental edge, combined with his technical skill, made Floyd almost unbeatable and helped him retire with a perfect record. The boxing world is buzzing about a possible fight between Terence Crawford and David Benavidez. Benavidez has size, power, and non-stop aggression, which would be a tough test for Crawford. Fans believe this matchup could push Crawford further than any fight before. While nothing is official yet, the talk shows that fans want high-risk, legacy-defining fights instead of exhibitions focused on money. Crawford versus Benavidez would be a battle of skill versus size and precision versus aggression, making it a dream fight for many boxing fans.
Not me, but shocked the world. This past Saturday, Mexican Independence Day weekend, what he took on defeated another first ballot Hall of Famer, but he essentially jumped up 3 weight classes, technically 2, from 154 to 168, but only had 1 fight at 154 last August against Israel Majimov. Terence Crawford defeated Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is a 4-division champion, 2-time undisputed super middleweight, and the reigning at the time super middleweight world champion, undisputed world champion. And Terence Crawford beat him handily and convincingly. And because he beat him so easily, now the 63 win, 3 loss, 2 draw, 39 win by way of knockout, biggest threat has been now imposed on Terence Bud Crawford. And that's the Mexican Ecuadorian monster, David Benavidez, who is a 2-division undefeated world champion, is the 2-time WBC super middleweight and reigning WBC light heavyweight, 175-pound champion, who has a record of 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout. He stands 6'2" with a 75-inch arm. This is a fight that David Benavidez has been calling for Canelo Alvarez when he was at 168, and Canelo Alvarez strategically maneuvered around him. But Canelo Alvarez is 5'7" with a 70-inch arm reach, started his career at 147 pounds, made his real name at 154 pounds. He's not a big guy, okay? And styles make fights. Benavidez is 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. His last fight at 168 against Demetrius Andrade, he rehydrated to 193. So he's a big guy. Canelo Alvarez probably rehydrate to 182, maybe 185 max, right? He's not a big guy, right?
The debate between Floyd Mayweather and Terence Crawford has no clear answer. Both fought the best in their eras and came out on top with dominant wins. Mayweather's perfect record and defensive skills made him special in his time, while Crawford's ability to move up in weight and still dominate is just as impressive. Since their careers took place in different eras with different circumstances, it's hard to compare them directly. In the end, both represent the highest level of boxing greatness.
Oh my goodness, I said that was going to happen. If Crawford was to win, we're going to be seeing a lot of these debates on whether or not Floyd Mayweather or Terence Bud Crawford is going to be better. Now this is going to be a debate for a long time. I'm talking about one of those debates like LeBron versus MJ, Messi versus Ronaldo. It's one of those. And the thing is, I can get behind it. Let me go ahead and say this. When it comes to resume, I do think we give Floyd Mayweather the edge. I mean, he beat a bunch of champions. He reigned for a long time. While Crawford, his resume is heavily criticized, and he's just not getting, his kind of respect for beating Errol Spence and Canelo Alvarez. But if we're talking strictly off of skills, this is where things get really tough to talk about. I think a fair assessment of this matchup would be Floyd Mayweather wins from 135 and 140, while Crawford wins from 147 to 154. And I say that because I feel like Floyd's style changed once he got to welterweight. He became a more defensive fighter, and he just wasn't as much focused on offense. And knowing this, I feel like Crawford would have had a much better chance of handling him. And we all know, Crawford was an absolute monster at welterweight. But hey man, like I said, this is going to be a debate for a very long time. And I can't wait to hear all the talk about it. But I'm curious on your thoughts. Who do you think wins in the fight? Floyd or Terence Bud Crawford? Let's talk about it, and follow me for more boxing talk.
Greg Hackett's words about Crawford's win over Canelo highlight the deeper meaning of that fight. He called Canelo the best in boxing, showing how dominant and feared Canelo had been for over a decade. But Crawford not only faced him, he took control and broke him down, signaling a big power shift. Hackett believes Crawford is now the new predator in the sport, the fighter everyone fears and the one at the very top. This victory didn't just add to Crawford's record, it changed boxing's landscape and marked him as the man who dethroned the Shark and became the hunter himself.
Because you got to remember, Canelo is the guy right now in the sport that's supposed to be the man, big bad wolf. You beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, well, so I'm gonna fight. You beat the Shark, you beat the wolf. Right. Damn. Like, you know what I mean? Ain't no more ops out there. It's ops out there, but who gonna make them really want to get up? That's the
shit gotta make sense. Like you said, you be the shark and then you be the wolf.
Yeah.
But there's the monster.
Yeah, there is, but that's like a real monster.
Bro, that's to me it don't make sense. But that's
really
what
a monster.
Yo, is that proof? All right, we got the legendary Pape in the building. Legend.
Chill, man.
But what makes sense? Like, what makes the most sense? I know you said get a line of suits, Brooks Brothers,
Yeah,
You know what I'm
your line suits get your money, man. Yeah, go ahead and get the easy money, man. You ain't gotta sweat no more.
What's up,
Not saying you ain't gotta work, you ain't gotta sweat.
What's happening?
He's paved a career where he could sit down at a table and get this money. He could come out with a Terence Crawford series now, just whatever, doing whatever he like to do. People gonna watch it. Nobody, the fighting part, people don't understand what it's like to be a fighter. A lot of times fighters really don't be interested in certain fights. It's cause when a guy see himself up here and then is fighting a guy down here, it don't interest him. So therefore, when he train, he not gonna really train. He gonna train, but he not gonna train. He not gonna listen. He gonna feel like his coach taking it too serious, and he's like, man, this ain't even that.
Crawford's win over Canelo Alvarez was a career-defining moment that erased any doubts about him. His victory against Errol Spence had already silenced critics by showing how easily he could control a fight, but beating Canelo, a fighter seen as nearly unbeatable, secured his place in history. Analysts now agree that these wins prove Crawford is one of the greatest fighters ever. His ability to dominate champions across different weight classes leaves no room for debate about his greatness.
But I think there was enough action, and I think Crawford displayed his skill enough, even to someone with not the most trained eye, that they know they saw a very high-level athlete perform something at a very high level last night. I think he gained the sports world's attention last night and respect. He already did after Spence, but it went to another level in this fight.
And I think even the fight itself, like just from a median level, but then the moments where they were having these exchanges, like kind of late in the fight, then people were like, all right, it was good. Then like, okay, I saw somebody like, they're squabbing. Like, there's a fight here. So I think it did.
And Crawford closed the show.
Yeah.
In 10, 11, 12, he stood in there and landed some hard shots and rocked Canelo at the bell. He didn't, well, James was talking about the great Floyd Mayweather. Floyd would go up on you 8-0 and then coast, and you might as well turn the fight off at midway through the ninth. Like, you know, he's not going to, but Crawford didn't do that.
Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and stay informed. Stay tuned for more updates, and let's keep our news accurate.